welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 64. Here we are, back at it again, talking about jobs, the business of jobs, and whatever else is in between. I'm your host, Shad White. Like I said, it's episode 64. What's been going on? Oh, I have a story to tell. Okay. Okay. So last week, if you listen to last week's episode, and I know you did, I received a phone call in the middle of recording that episode of the podcast, and I knew what it was for. It was for a job interview. Now, the reason why I'm being very forthright about it, because I knew exactly who was calling. I knew what the job was. I knew what the job entailed, because I didn't know what it was, and I knew that it was going to be, quite frankly, a fake thing, or less than fake. It was a very real position. But let me just get into what happened. So I get the call. They leave a voicemail. It is a phone interview with this company. I will not say the company's name, but all I know is that the job is sales. That's it. That's all I know that they do, and I know the job is you will be doing sales. I have this in the back of my head. I have this idea that you'll be selling, it's a sales job that where I'm selling, or whomever is selling something unnecessary, something not needed. But I thought it'd be one of those jobs where you go not door to door, but business to business, or you make calls. I didn't think it was gonna be cold calls. I thought it was a step above that. Little did I know it was 5 steps below. I do the phone interview with their front desk person, and they haven't. They on their website. Is it? Yeah. Is this it? Is this? Yeah. This is it. First of all, it says they're a marketing company. They are not. Marketing consultant. They are not. They are straight up sales. So I do the phone interview with their front desk person, and it's more or less just like one of the easiest things. It's just very easy questions. I'm gonna remember. After I do the interview, they're like, well, I'm so-and-so would like to talk to you. We're going to bring you in to the office. And here's all the details. The office is in Sandy Springs. So I drove from Midtown to Sandy Springs the following day. Like 3 days later. And they're like dress business casual. What was it? Yeah, business casual. I just put on chinos and a button-up shirt. I was not going to dress up any more than that. And I head off. In the days in between it, like immediately after I did the interview, I went to the website and I went, what do they do? Because the woman did not answer my questions. And it wasn't really like direct. And so I went to the website, and I'm looking around, and they have a lot of pictures of their team. I see the quote unquote recruiter / front desk person that I spoke to. I see the person that I talked to that interviewed me. But I'm clicking through their website. They have why this company, life at this company, news, meet our team, testimonials. I'm going to their social media platforms. Why are you doing it? There's a quote unquote candid photo of somebody overlooking out their building uh, out the building on the big, giant floor to ceiling windows, and it just looks so stupid. Their office is in um, a couple of buildings I've never been in. The King and Queen building in Sandy Springs. If you ever come down 400, you've seen them. You've seen them in skylines of plenty of movies, tricking you into thinking that's Atlanta. It's not. It's Sandy Springs. Also, they gave me times for the interview, and I chose as early as possible, but as late, like later than what the traffic would entail. Like I did a nice 11 o'clock. I said I'm not getting stuck in traffic. I'm not sitting behind people. And guess what? On the way home at 1 p.m., I was stuck in traffic. Was I there? It was like 12:30. Doesn't matter. Here's when I knew. Here's when besides the fact that they were using like what are the, like fake, just like fake words, well, not fake word. Well, there's fake. I'm looking at a fake word right now on the website that is named after their CEO. That's not. I'm not kidding. There is a fake word from their CEO using his last name. They use all these like dynamic goism and things like that, and it's just I'm having trouble understanding what this job is. I thought it was a marketing job. I thought it was like I was doing marketing or sales, something along those lines. It's at the King and Queen buildings. I go there. I walk in. It's very easy to get into those buildings. You just gotta know where you're going. I go to the floor where they're on, 29, I believe, being very specific. And I find the office, and right when I walk in, there's two young ladies also being interviewed for positions. I don't know what those positions were because evidently they were not interviewing for what I was interviewing for. The only reason I say that is because what I mean, I see something on a whiteboard later that I'm thinking, oh, it's just a lot, anyway. I sign in, I do, I'm waiting. Also, they're filling out like paperwork, and then the recruiter who called me is like, come on back. I'm like, Jesus, what did I miss? I see all these people dressed to the like it was Mad Men times. Everybody's dressed in suits, and I have no problem with dressing in suits and everything like that, but the job has to call for it. Also, this is when I knew this is going to be bad. Oh, also, I recorded every single thing. I recorded everything that happened. I just because I wanted to see if there was going to be any quite frankly any BS. So I have my phone is transcribing the 41 minutes I spent there. I spent 41 minutes there from 11:15 until whatever time that ends. Transcribe English. You got it, baby. Okay. So I walk into as I'm essentially being shown the office. I'm being shown what the office is. It is so barren. It's so bare bones, and with the exception of the offices within the office, there's truly nothing. There's like there's a sign that says unfuckwittable. That's what the sign says. I would never usually cuss on this. But there's a sign that says unfuckwittable, and that's the first thing the guy points out to me. He goes, "You can't go to Hobby Lobby and get that." I'm just like, what? What does that have to do with sales? Also, again, no one tells me what this company does. And there's this big empty space, and the guy that's taking me back is like, usually if it was Friday. So he goes, usually around this time you would see a dozen, 2 dozen of the sales reps in here clapping it up and jamming it down, or I didn't say that, but clapping it up and having a meeting and celebrating and getting ready to get out there. But they're all out in the field today. I'm like, oh, okay. He takes me around to different offices, pointing out that's Bill's office, that's Ted's office, all men, all white men. Very true. That's Jimmy Jam's office. He's usually he has a seven he has 7 businesses, or they say like that. It's like he has like 7 businesses, like 2 in Washington and D.C. and like 1 in Alabama and this. And I'm like, why does he have so many businesses? Isn't this a business? Like truly, that's what I'm thinking. Shows me the kitchen. He shows me someone else is interviewing someone else, and that person like waves at me. What? Like, dude, you're talking to somebody. Just don't worry about it. Then he takes me back to his office, and also all around, besides the unfuckwittable sign, there's also just very generic phrasing on the walls and paintings, and not in paintings, excuse me, and pictures. They don't have paintings in that place. No offense to them, but there's just very generic language and encouraging phrases. Is things like, you can always be who you want to be, but you can't do who you want to do. Things like that. I'm just pulling things out of my butt. But we're stronger together, and we never break when we're alone, but we may bend. Things like that. Let me do a third one. Rule of thirds. Perfection doesn't make sense unless you're stronger than FB hearts. And they're framed all around this office, which I'm trying not to laugh at because it's insane. The guy brings me to his office. When I saw different offices, again, some of them were not, okay, I'll just say this. None of them looked good. It looked as if first of all, it looked as if, they were going to ask me for $20,000. Promising me that they're going to give me $50,000 later, and then that they could break down that office and leave immediately. That's what it felt like. But it looked as if those, again, offices, again, one person has 5, 6, 7 other businesses. So it feels like that's just a place to hang your hat, and there's not much else going on. And by that I mean there were like very bad desks and just furniture that didn't look good inside of the offices, inside the office. Oh, the recruiter, the office manager person, her desk up front. This is so mean. Was like a plastic IKEA desk. Computer was like the biggest thing on it. And I just thought, why is this happening? Oh my gosh. Oh, the knurling from this barbell at the gym just tore my skin to shreds. Look at that. Sorry. Anyway, so he sits me down in his office, and I'm looking around. There's pictures of his family, which is fine and all that stuff. And again, like 1950s Mad Men. There's bourbon. Just a bottle of bourbon, opened and very low. I got a bottle of bourbon back there and some tequila, open, very low, but that's home. And also what looked to be like a plastic squirt gun full of a different bourbon or a whiskey or something. But I know it was a liquid, and I know it was a dark liquor, and it was next to me. And I was thinking, why is this here? So he sets me down. Also, his desk is facing the door. So like a desk should be facing the doorway, and then the chairs inside of his office. There's two armchairs. They're both facing the parallel wall. So I'm not even looking at him. I have to turn my body. Not even turn the chair, because they're armchairs. I have to turn my body to look at him. And my neck is hurting the entire time. I'm like leaned up against the side. And he shows me a little PowerPoint. And by this point, I am roughly 20 or so minutes in. and it took them, let's just say like I was 20, 23, 24 minutes in, and it took them 23 or 24 minutes to tell me what they did. Because there was no point when talking to the recruiter. There's nothing on the website. There was nothing in the Indeed posting, which is a big problem, that said what they did. I'm not kidding. It was the same jargon you see, dynamic movement of the abilities in the business center on their Instagram. All they were showing was office life and outside of office life. So he fed me the benefits and all that stuff, and you get a base pay of like $500 per week. And I went, wait a minute, I thought there was a base pay of, $40,000-$50,000 a year or something like that. I thought there was an actual salary and then the commission of the sales. Again, I didn't know what they did. They sell phones and they sell internet access for cheap, quote unquote, cheap quotes. And I went, and there was a point when he said that during the PowerPoint presentation, I go, oh, just like a very audible, oh, because I didn't know what they did. He gave me the step ladder of ascension. What you do, you spend like 6 months, working sales at a couple of stores. And when I say sales at stores, you're not cold calling stores. You're not doing that. You're going to stores. You're wearing an AT&T polo and you are sitting in a kiosk and you are stopping people and going, hey, I see you're on the phone. Would you like to buy? How much is your phone bill? That's what the job is. And they're like, in 6 months, you could be this level. And then in 12 months, you could be at this level. And then in 18 months, you could be at this level. And then by month 24, you could have your own business. You could be the person. You could run your own business. And if you see that there's an ability, if you see there's a market in Houston, you can go to Houston and we could scope it out and see what stores can we work at. Best Buy, Target, Walmart. That's what they said. And the entire time I'm sitting there going, oh no, what have I done? So that was that. And then I'm looking at the transcript right now. What's the summary? All right. Shout out to this AI on Samsung. A conversation takes place at a parking lot. They've got 70 offices nationwide, 800 plus field representatives. They've been in business for 10 years, expanding from 3 initial offices. All leadership positions are filled through internal promotion. This summary is really good. Jesus. Oh, yeah, there's an intensive training program that lasts 7-8 days. What? Oh my God. Oh, it's naming things that I mentioned because he asked me about myself. Blah blah blah. Which they do. God, I'm scrolling down past all this stuff. This is really cool. There's quick advancement opportunities. As I mentioned, you move up rapidly. Providing opportunity is important, but desire must originate within the individual. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I want to show you. I did take one picture of a. What is that's NVIDIA GeForce Now. I did take one picture of. What in the world? Oh. Of what I was looking at. How do I do this is not good at all. Where's Chrome? Why is Chrome not popping up inside of my window capture? Interesting. Let's see if if I did display capture, window capture again. Okay, let's do window capture 2. So I did manage to take a picture of the thing. Is my email? No. Okay, cool. Just making sure. And this is if you're watching the video, you're seeing a picture of a whiteboard that is inside this gentleman's office. I don't want to be too specific. But I mean, if you're looking at this, there's just like names of people and their shifts, and it looks like it looks like a pyramid system. This person brought on this person, and they're in charge of this person. And then there's a side where they're just naming things like what's the perfect brick, which I assume to be how you're going to do your day. And it goes 1, no snooze, so don't hit the snooze. 2, no phone for 30 minutes, I guess when you wake up. 3, do your gratitudes and intentions, which is something that they mentioned to me. 4, feed your brain, which is learn. 5, sweat. Workout. Oh, working out was a huge part of the thing. They're like, he was like, we have to work out. We have to be strong. And we have to be, that's, if you want to spend your day working out, that's great. That's how you do. 6, healthier breakfast. 7, drink 32 ounces of water. 8, show up early. So that's what that was. And when I was leaving, the guy was like, you're going to, if you watch the video, I for sure showed what the company's name was. I don't care anymore. But he goes, yeah, you know what? We're gonna offer employment. So if you get a call between 4 and 5 p.m. today, then that's the main guy. He's gonna offer you employment. The pay was insane. You get like something along the lines of, I should go back to the transcript because it's probably in there. Potential earnings were based on daily sales. You should aim for 200 to 300 per day for 5 days a week. They work Thursday to Monday, off Tuesday, Wednesday. The largest sales in a day have been so far $540. It's sales. Oh my gosh. It was, I mean, it's crazy what they wanted. Top tier account managers, that's what they call you, can earn between $1,220 and $1,500 with further income growth possible through team building and leadership. Like the way that, oh my God, I'm just looking at this. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I didn't think I was going to spend 23 minutes talking about that, but here I am. The guy called me, cut to Friday. The guy called me, and the whole boss of the Atlanta franchise. And he is like, I've dealt with these people before, like this style of person before, just so amped up in energy, and it's unnecessary. I amped up in unnecessary energy, and he came in hard. Within like a minute, he's like, "Yeah, so tell me about yourself." And then after that minute, all right, well, if we want people who are go-getters and get out there and Monday, let's when can you start? And I was like, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks. And he's like, all right, and he said something else, and then he goes, you didn't sound too sure about if you wanted this job. And I went, there sometimes there are things. And he's like, why don't you take the weekend to think about it? I'm like, okay, man. Oh my gosh. It's like holding a branding iron to my chest. You gonna do it? You gonna go do it? And that's what that was. That was the very quick turnover for that process for that job. I didn't like it. And I know, I'm sure there's somebody out there who is hearing this and is just like, I need that's exactly what I'm looking for. But it was insane and fake and something that like I've been in situations like that before. I was the last time, and I know I told this story before, or this a version of this, but I was 2 days ago or yesterday. I was looking at. I was trying to. I was okay. I was getting ready. I was setting up my workout for this morning, and then I went. I saw something on my work. Like I hadn't done like an exercise for like 3 or 4 years, and I went, why is that even at my like I was at this gym, like where, like when was that? Because I was at like 11 a.m. and I went, I would never go to the gym at 11 a.m. I go at 5. I go at 4 technically, but I go at 5. So I went back and I was I was at a different gym, and I went, oh my gosh, that's when I was paying for. At one point, I was paying for 2 or 3 gyms. It was misguided to think, but at one point, I was paying for 2 or 3 gyms. And I went, oh, I was at this gym. Like, wow, I would never drive that far for a gym now. And then I started looking through my timeline around that time on Google Maps, because I track myself, because I ain't gonna get caught. Y'all ain't gonna mess around with me. Y'all ain't gonna accuse me of nothing. So I track myself. I was looking at my timeline, and I saw there was a WeWork. It was like an hour and 10 minutes, and I went, why was that this WeWork? And I went, I know exactly what that was for. So several years ago at this point, I was like basically 8 or 9 years ago, around the time I moved down to the city from the suburbs, I was just looking for a job, looking for anything, and I found a fake little sales job again. And this guy had an office in a WeWork. I could not name the company for the life of me. I would have to dredge my email for all this stuff. He had a fake little office in a company, office in WeWork. I come to find out he probably didn't even have an office there. He probably just rented a desk. He looked like Kenya Barris. If you can just imagine, Google Kenya Barris. He looked like Kenya Barris, except without any money, and much more desperate. But he looked from what I remember, he looks just like him. Hello, buddy. So I go, he again, that's probably another quick turnover. This guy calls me. He's like, we're going to do an interview. I'm like, all right, sure. I go as WeWork, and I had no money. So I park my car outside of this WeWork next to the Fox Theater in Atlanta. And I go inside. I know, and at this point I go, I'm pretty sure this is fake. If I have I pay for like an hour or something like that. And I go, if it's, after an hour, if I don't like this, I'm just going to run out of there. I go inside, I meet somebody. WeWorks have front desk people, and the front desk person stops me, and I have to wait for this guy to come get me. And we go into a conference room. There's 2 other people there. So now I'm like, oh, it's one of these. And again, he's telling me it's sales. You go to the belt line, you stop people. We're going to be out in the street. You stop people, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, the entire time, I'm like laughing. And there's like a girl taking notes like, yeah, this is it. This is how you do it. And then there's a guy who is like very in tune with what's happening. Like he's interested as well. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, I'm the only one who realizes this is not a good thing at all. There was one point when he was running out of steam, in like an hour or so into this. The guy is running the meetings out of steam, and he he asked the young man who's next to me to he's like, now I'm going to show you guys how to do sales. He goes, come here. Gets the guy stand up, and he goes, just pretend you're walking to me. Just walk to me. And the guy like follows through, and he's like, hey, those are some nice shoes you got there. By the way, this is blah, 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 blah. And I just start laughing. And then my alarm goes off, and I go, oh, hey, I have to go. I have to, I'm late for my part-time job. And he goes, you're going to come back tomorrow, right? And I went, yeah, I'll come back. And I left. Oh my gosh. That's what's happened before. Hey, I have a couple of stories I need to check out really quick. This comes from Caitlin Huston over at the Hollywood Reporter. PBS closes DEI office after Trump executive order. PBS has confirmed that it's closed its Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion office in order to comply with the recent executive order from President Donald Trump. This is something that is unfortunately a common thing now. Last week I talked about how companies are getting rid of their DEI practices because of executive presidential order and support from the right suggesting that DEI is worse for, excuse me, this is 2 weeks ago, that DEI is worse for everybody. Read white men. God, wouldn't it be great to be a white man? Just be able to do whatever you want. Then after that, a white woman. I'm going to get in so much trouble. The move to close the unit comes after Trump issued a number of executive orders aimed at cutting DEI programs on a federal level and among federal contractors as well as private companies. And as PBS faces an investigation by the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, following repeated threats by Trump. Now PBS and NPR are under the thumb of FCC Chair Brendan Carr, who was appointed by Trump. They both receive government funding, which is, how they've been funded for decades. Now they're going to see if he said he's going to investigate PBS and NPR to see if their member stations violated government rules around the naming of financial sponsors on the air, which is just a way to open up, put anything on them. PBS expanded its DEI team in the fiscal year 2022. In its second annual DEI report released on February 2023, the network noted it had created a DEI office during fiscal year 2022 and hired a staff including DEI director Gina Liao and, I skipped over somebody's name, Cecilia Loving. At the time, the company had established employee resource groups and DEI advocates and committees. I mean, DEI, if anything, is very important at PBS and NPR because you need a different amount of people, a varying amount of people from varying backgrounds to cover stories about the world. You need people from all walks of life. And we can see how that different, let's look at Fox News versus everybody else. BBC News America, CNN, MSNBC, CBS News, NBC News, ABC News. It's all different, and it's all a varying amount of people who can cover it in different ways, as opposed to the same blonde-haired, blue-eyed, brunette, brown-eyed people who more or less at that network in particular, Fox, have some type of bent against it all. At the time, the company said its workforce reached 44% BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. That's what that means, I think, which is a 6-year high. It's a shame. This next one comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Katie Kilkenny. New York Magazine walkout averted as union reaches deal with management. This happened yesterday. I have something that happened last week coming after this. New York Magazine, which just turned 100, I believe, averted a walkout on Friday evening because its union reached a tentative deal with management on a second labor contract. The reason why we're seeing potential walkouts every single week at this point, essentially, is because every contract is renewed at 2 or 3 times, or 2 or 3 years. Every 2 or 3 years, there's a point when you're not going to renew a contract for 10 years because it'll cost so much money. You have to ratify things, which is good and bad for everyone involved. You look at the SAG contract. AI wasn't a huge part of the industry a couple of years ago, but now It's a big thing. So we can't just. I just watched a video and read an article about Hank Azaria for the New York Times, who is a voice on The Simpsons, who's been doing the voices on that show since day one. He's very concerned, as he should be, with the idea that AI could replace him. And he, in the article, you read about what he says, and then in the video you see that he sat down at the Times to do to have his voice paired up against a AI thing, and while the AI is off, especially from a huge Simpsons fan, significantly from the thing from how he does the tone and everything, it's still dramatically closer than it was a couple years ago. It's a 3-year provisional deal. It's still subject to ratification vote by union members. It creates guardrails around the publication's use of AI tools and addresses inflation concerns with wage increases. While the general agreement was reached on Friday, final details are hammered out over the weekend. News Guild of New York representative told the Hollywood Reporter. News Guild is of New York is the union that represents the New York Times and every basically, if you're a publication in New York, you're represented by the News Guild of New York. I don't know how big that umbrella is, but it does include people at CNN and NBC and Fox and all that stuff. I don't know if it goes down to smaller publications, but I assume as much. The pact is poised to alleviate tensions over wages, AI, and modifications to employees' health care. On January 30th, the union aligned with the News Guild of New York, delivered a message threatening a walkout to magazine leaders unless the two sides agreed to a fair contract spanning these issues and others. The labor group simultaneously shared a webpage where readers could commit to honoring a digital picket line, aka not clicking or sharing New York stories from New York, like the New Yorker, stuff like that, and Vox. Shut up, Chad. If a walkout occurred. A lot of people signed it. You have to be behind these people. Because A, they deliver the news, and B, you want somebody to support you when you come to things like that. The new contract boosts all wage floors by 9 to 10% and offers a general wage increase of 4.25 to 4.75%, depending on the position upon ratification. That wage boost is retroactive to April 2024 and will be supplemented with a $1,500 ratification bonus if members greenlight the contract. In 2025 and 2026, members' wages will increase by 3.25 and 2.75%, respectively. Vox Media owns New York Magazine, as well as a lot of other companies. The Verge, as I previously mentioned, the rest. Vox Media signed a licensing agreement with OpenAI last May. The union narrowed in on securing related AI contract language for members. This is so that, I don't know if you recall, but when OpenAI's ChatGPT basically became a major tool that people started using in the last year or so, it was when it was searching for information, it would mine things illegally and not refer back to its sources and display that information as its own. But then you had companies like CNN and New York Times and Vox Media and other companies say, don't do that. You have to pay us for that, for enable to read our stuff. And now if you post a New York Times link inside of ChatGPT and say, summarize this story for me, ChatGPT will say, I am unable to do that. But when a company like Vox Media signs an agreement with OpenAI, OpenAI can do things like go to a web page on Vox.com or The Verge or New York Mag or Vulture. I think Vulture is now owned by New York Mag as well, and take data from there and display it sourced via ChatGPT. and it can't present it as its own. Negotiations over the union's second contract took place for nearly a year. The New York Mag union represents roughly 150 staffers at the publication, including writers, editors, copy editors, fact checkers, photo editors, designers, and assorted producers. Now, this comes a week after Alamo Drafthouse has been charged with unfair labor practice. This comes from Katie Kilkenny over at the Hollywood Reporter. The United Auto Workers Local 2179, which represents workers at the chain's Lower Manhattan and downtown Brooklyn locations, is alleging failure to bargain in good faith amid cuts to its staff. Layoffs have been going on at Alamo Drafthouse for roughly a month. If you don't know what Alamo Drafthouse is, it is a movie theater chain that is more or less high end, I guess, I would say. You can sit down, you can order food, burgers and such. They don't want you to talk in the theaters, which I love. And you can be kicked out for talking and using your phone, which is great. But I would never go to an Alamo Drafthouse. The last time I went to a movie theater where there was food, I saw is when I was... When did The Revenant come out? The Revenant. 2015. I had graduated from college, and I was living at home in Roswell, Georgia. And there was a studio movie grill, and I went to see this movie. This is when I was dog walking. No, this is when I was working at UPS. I was working in a factory, and I went to see a daytime showing of The Revenant starring Leonardo DiCaprio. I was enjoying my time, but let's say there was like 10 people inside that theater showing, and I sat in the back, sat in the middle, all the way in the back. I was hoping nobody would bother me. People sat around me. And this one couple, I know they don't have soup at Studio Movie Grill, but I swear to God they had soup, because this man was digging in whatever bowl that he had. All I heard throughout this entire movie was clink, clink, clink. I'm not kidding. For like 50 minutes straight. Clink, clink, clink. Fork, spoon, whatever, hitting that ceramic plate. I was so pissed. And that was the last time I went to a movie theater with food. I said, I'm going to go to AMC from now on, or a local movie theater. I cannot deal with that. So these layoffs have been happening at Alamo Drafthouse have been just making the union representing its employees very angry. There's 2 locations in New York, which they're hitting back at with a complaint to the National Labor Relations Board. The company is the subject of an unfair labor practice charge filed 2 weeks ago. The union represents staffers at the company's Lower Manhattan and downtown Brooklyn offices, talking about the fail to refuse to bargain in good faith around the reductions in the workforce. Under labor law, the theaters were obliged to negotiate layoffs with the union as the parties are still bargaining a first union contract. UAW Local 22178 sped up. Second VP Will Bobrowski said in an interview on Tuesday at that point. The union and the theaters discussed some proposed staff cuts and the possibility of instead reducing existing employees' hours to an average of 16 hours per week, which the union favored, given that theaters often reduce hours seasonally at multiple bargaining sessions. But by the end of the sessions, negotiations on that Friday, management declared an impasse in bargaining over the layoffs issue, which Bobrowski claimed wasn't possible when so many issues were left on the table at the time. So basically what they're saying is that Alamo Drafthouse, in the midst of negotiations, just said, we're just going to lay people off. Again, if that happened during the... I'm gonna refer back to this. The SAG negotiations, or the writer strike, or the producer, or they didn't go. The directors were about to go, excuse me. Or the writer strike. It would be the equivalent of, you're all striking? Well, we're gonna cancel this show. which happened after the fact. A lot of things just didn't go green after that. Bobrowski notes that this is the first time that the union has filed an unfair labor practice charge against the company, even after a hard-fought organizing campaign that culminated in successful union votes in the fall of 2023. An insider close to the company, Alamo Drafthouse, disagreed with the union's position on the talks and said the theaters would continue to negotiate in good faith in order to come to an agreement that worked for everyone. Alamo filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2021, bankruptcy protection because of the pandemic, but hopes were raised for the future of the business following Sony Pictures' purchase of Alamo Drafthouse. Sony owns Alamo. I completely forgot about that. That's the first time in decades, with a few exceptions, that a major studio purchased a movie theater, a practice once prohibited under the Paramount consent decrees, which were struck down in 2020, mostly because you don't want favoritism. Like if Netflix purchased all landmark theater chains, they could just be playing their movies and downplay, every Disney movie that came out or every Paramount movie that came out. This is yet to be reconciled. We're a week removed from it. And we're the fact that Alamo Drafthouse is, I guess now Sony is not really trying to follow through with these good faith negotiations, or they're keeping it hush hush. It is so shameful. It was so shameful that they would just lay these people off in lieu of reducing their hours. Because when you work under a union, you're supposed to be able to get certain advantages, more or less. No matter what the Starbucks CEO says, no matter what UPS workers against unionization say, unions are going to be better for you. Even if the union leader is somebody who lives in $1 million house, they more or less earn that. That's how it goes. That's how unions work. And they're fighting for you, the little person, the little guy, the little girl, the little they, the little them. Because that Starbucks isn't going to have your voice. They're not going to be speaking for you in the end. Okay, listen. This is a long one. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. I just put out an interview with comedian Matthew Broussard. We talked about his latest special, Hyperbolic. I believe that's what it's called. It's available on YouTube. You can go see it. While you're also on YouTube, check out a video version of this show, as well as a video version of the other shows, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and The Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News podcast. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts, and you can also watch a video version of the interviews on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook at cpluscomedy. Follow me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you later. Bye.